You cannot force creativity. And I think a perfect example of this is from the movie Whiplash, where the character I forgot his name, actually, I'm not even gonna lie. The main character works and works and works so hard to play the drums and become the best at drums and everything, pass all his other competitors. And then guess what? He does achieve his goals. But it takes him a lot of time and pain and effort to do that. But in real life, what I've noticed is that it's not like Whiplash. In Whiplash, there's a good ending where, he practices really hard and then he can do all this crazy stuff on the drum set. But it's not like that in real life. You see, creativity, which is playing drums, instruments, arts and everything like that. Creativity is separated from normal work, or the typical, I'm gonna do some homework right now, I shouldn't be a little bitch. That's work, that's forcing yourself to work. And that's actually a really good thing. To be disciplined in work is really, really good. But to be disciplined in creativity is a whole nother story, because creativity is more on emotions rather than analytical, logical things. So that means that your analytical brain works on, for example, your homeworks and stuff. Those are no creativity required, the least minimal creativity required things. While on the other hand, you have drums, which require a lot of creativity, despite what other people think about drums. It's oh, it's a beat machine or something. It's not. Drums are a very creative instrument once you dig into it. But yeah, so playing drums is actually more emotional than, work. But people kind of associate playing instruments and working together. It's if you work hard enough, you can achieve it. And it's if you work hard enough on an instrument or practice hard enough, then you'll get it. It's I think there's a channel called what was it, Two Set Violin or something. They have an inside joke about how you should practice 80 hours this week or something. I don't know, 80 hours a day. You don't have to practice that much in order to become great in drumming. And I might be wrong with this, I might just be shitting you, but this is just my observation, and I'm not, the professional drummer. If you want to see a professional drummer, then click on a Larnell Lewis video or something. But in my perspective, I've been drumming for 2 years, and I can say in those 2 years, I just practiced drums whenever I felt like it, and not really, had a disciplined schedule. I uploaded a video called the only drum practice session you need, but I think what you should instead do, and I changed my mind about that video, is that you shouldn't be strict for drums. You should be strict for your work, school and everything, but I don't think you should be strict for playing instruments and drums and stuff, because these are creative / emotional types of things, and emotional and logical things don't combine together. For example, you can't solve depression with logic, it's an emotion. You can't logic your way out of it. It's the same thing with drums. It's you can't, you can practice, logically and stuff, but you should also trust your emotions on, playing instruments, because playing instruments are mostly emotional things, and work isn't that much of an emotional thing, and the vice versa thing. So what this means is that in traditional work, homework, for example, that we get from school, we should, force ourselves to do it, be disciplined. I totally agree on that one. But if it's something creative, drums, for example, then I think that we should feel the courage to play drums rather than, forcing ourselves to play drums. Because if we really, really think about this, at first thought, you might think oh, well, if I force myself to play drums, then I'll play more drums, and that equals more success, right? And, that to some degree that might be true, but if you really, really think about this, it's well, yes, you might practice more, but how efficient is your practice? That's what really matters, is your practicing efficiency. In other words, it's like, what are you practicing and how are you practicing it? Did your practice session go well, or did it just, flop and you had so much mistakes and you quit your practice session? It's like, you need to also consider like how efficient and what's the quality of your practice session, rather than just, I should practice more and more because that'll get me greater. Because if you practiced because you want to practice, then you end up practicing more than you want to and more efficiently. And that means that your quality of the practice session is greater than when you forced yourself into, practicing drums every day. Yeah, let's practice. I mean, there's nothing wrong if you want to practice every single day. That's also fine. Like, I'm saying, like, don't force yourself into playing drums. Don't make a stupid table like I did. Forming a habit around like practicing is actually really great. So what I want to do, currently I'm trying to like do it, but like what I want to do is I want to practice some, rudiments right when I wake up, so that, my hands are warmed up. And if I want to play drums again, then my hands are already warmed up. So, you can do that, but don't force yourself into just, these creative habits, because what ends up happening is that you don't want to play the drums, but you end up playing it. Then you hate it more because force yourself to do it, and boom. That's a catastrophic practice session. And I just had one like yesterday when it was my birthday and stuff. It's not related to the topic, but like I wanted to practice drums before I ate some lunch. And then after I ate some lunch yesterday, it was like, I don't want to practice anymore. But I was like, no, man, let's practice. Don't be such a coward. Like, let's just practice. Come on, be more disciplined. And then I practice, and then boom, it just goes like, totally crappy practice session. Like, I just kind of end up quitting it. I just kind of, moved on with my day. So you can't force yourself to play drums, bro.